Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
Packers with the 27-18 victory last night against the Commanders. Sure, a lot of us are all probably bright-eyed and bushy-tailed this morning, getting going here. Probably still reaping in or feeling the effects from last night and such. But at least, you know, when we got to have one of those late primetime games during the week or during the work week and that, makes it a little bit better when it comes with the W. Love to see the chit-chat so far on the video stream. Brent says the offensive line last night with a couple people out looked all right. They held their own. Joe earlier saying good morning. Zach, our video stream moderator, says good morning, Dan. How about that defense and how about Tucker Kraft? Could we give a game ball to the whole defense? But in all honesty, I touched on this yesterday. Wyatt had a great game. You know, there's outside of, Tucker Kraft definitely deserves a game ball. Keyshawn Nixon deserves a game ball for the amount of pass breakups that he had. I thought he had a solid game. I'm glad you mentioned Devontae Wyatt. I think that's kind of an under-the-radar performance from last night. You know, but if you were watching it, he probably stood out to you because, I mean, he had a sack. He had a couple quarterback hits. The big man, also had a couple passes defended. I mean, for this guy, Devontae Wyatt, I mean, we saw flashes through his young career, but then you factor in Kenny Clark being gone. The play, I mean, there was more pressure put on Devontae Wyatt this season to like, okay, you're kind of the man now in the interior defensive line. No Kenny, no veteran. You're kind of the man now. And I would argue that his first two games of the season have been spectacular. He has been awesome. He's been really good on that defensive line. He's already got a couple sacks. You know, he doesn't rack up a ton of tackles in that, but, I mean, I've been impressed with 95 so far in the first two games of the season. And I think he absolutely deserves kind of an under-the-radar game ball from his performance last night. Yeah, you could pick a few different guys on this defense. I mean, Rashawn Gary grabbed another sack last night. Lucas Van Ness had a quarterback hit and a nice tackle for a loss. But Edgerrin Cooper again all over the field. Half a sack, leading the team in tackles with 10. A couple quarterback hits on there too. You could give one to Edgerrin Cooper. I'd also give one to Javon Bullard. I thought, Bullard, who struggled against the Lions, I thought he came in and had a nice bounce-back game last night. Thought he looked really good, reading, aggressive in the tackling department. I thought 20 had a nice bounce-back game last night. And we saw, Nate Hobbs make his debut for the Packers. You look at that secondary, I mean, if Keyshawn Nixon plays like he did last night on a consistent basis, and Javon Bullard plays like he did last night, you throw in a Nate Hobbs, you throw in a Carrington Valentine, who has, to me, been incredibly underrated so far. You look at that secondary, and then you factor in the safeties. Man. And you add in the pressure that this team has been giving in the first two games of the season. You look at it, and the amount of quarterback hits the Packers had last night, 12. 12 quarterback hits last night, 4 sacks. Compare that to Washington, as one of our listeners noted. Packers had 2 backup offensive linemen there. Jordan Morgan, he was in the running for a starting job this year. But even so, missing 2 starters, Jordan Love was hit 4 times last night. 2 sacks, but 4 times. Compared to Green Bay, 12 quarterback hits, 4 sacks. Micah Parsons, half a sack, 3 quarterback hits. Led the team in quarterback hits. And again, there's going to be other plays from him last night that won't show up in that stat sheet. Anybody who watched it saw it. How much he was a force on that field. And the scary thing, scary good for us Packers fans, scary bad for everybody else, the more reps he's going to get. And last night, he was talking about it. He's frustrated being on a snap count. He gets it. But he's like, got to unleash the dog. I guarantee you, probably against Cleveland, he's going to be out there on a more regular basis. But it's the expectation now is, the first 2 weeks from what we have seen from this defense, that bar is high. You've got everybody's attention across the football world. You've got the national media singing your praises. Packers fans are incredibly pumped and excited. The bar is higher. As Michael Jordan would say, the ceiling is the roof. And not to be glass half empty, Debbie Downer or anything like that, this group, don't read the headlines. Don't read your own headlines, though. Don't get caught. Don't have your head in the clouds. Stay focused. We still got 15 more games in the regular season for this. They ain't crowning anything after 2 weeks in the season. And I think that's where you look at the guys like a Micah Parsons, like a Rashawn Gary, the leaders on this defense, to continue to stay focused and eye on the prize. Is a long season, but man, have they exploded out of the gate. And a lot of that has to do with the acquisition of Micah Parsons. Let's not kid ourselves. You bring in that guy, the swagger, the confidence, the energy that is just spewing all over the place. Hell yeah. The honeymoon period might wear off a little bit, but maybe not if Parsons continues to be a force out there. If he continues to be a wreck, like as in wrecking up plays and wrecking up offensive linemen, maybe that honeymoon period continues, but there probably, odds are, there might be a game where it's just a little bit off. But, watching this, I was talking to a few people in the last couple days, and, it's like, I can't remember the last time being this excited or seeing a defense like this. And again, last night, the one thing that I loved about this defense overall, and Kirk Herbstreit was talking about it too, everybody flowing to the football. Every defensive player going to the football. How many white jerseys? As soon as somebody had that ball, a receiver, running, everybody was flowing to that football. And you just look at it from a yards standpoint. Come on. It wasn't even almost fair at times. I love the graphic that popped up at one point where Tucker Kraft had more yards than the Commanders did total. Now, obviously, that didn't finish that way, but still. Green Bay won in, every single facet except for penalties, which, if we had to pick something that is a little bit annoying and frustrating, is, again, special teams penalties, which, what is going on? But, in total yards, Green Bay 404 yards compared to Washington 230. And I thought it was a great point. I think it was, again, Herbstreit that mentioned this, or maybe it was somebody else. But, Cliff Kingsbury, I think he's a very solid, very good offensive coordinator, play caller, unique, creative, can throw a bunch of different stuff at you. And, he's kind of had his ways against long-time, veteran NFL defensive coordinators. But Hafley has been in the college game. He's probably seen a lot of that stuff, the read option stuff, the RPOs. And he's got that team prepared for that. But, our average yards per play for Washington was 3.5. 3.5. First downs, only 15. 15 for Washington. 2 of them came from penalties. Just 3 from rushing. Yards per pass for Washington last night, 3.9. Rushing, 2.7 per rush. That's it. That's it. It's hard not. Like part of me wants to just keep this all in check and try not to have such super high expectations, because it's kind of like maybe a little bit like the Brewers, where it's like I don't want to have super high expectations because I'm ready to be, have my heart broken or something like that. But man, how do you not, from what you've seen from the first 2 weeks of this thing? And I think the assumption is, and it should be, it's just going to get better and better. The more Parsons gets comfortable, the more the defense itself as a whole gets comfortable with Parsons, the more they learn about each other, the more that they're in sync in that. But, I mean, it's you look at the improvements, not only just from a pass rush standpoint, it's communication, it's tackling, it's flowing to the football, it's the intensity, the confidence in this group. It's so awesome to see. It's so awesome to see. What else? I mean, what else are we going to say about the defense? I mean, Brent says it was nice to see Lattimore decide to hold here and there. Zach says, I felt like they were a little held back with some of the penalties. Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, even like on the special teams part, offense, how many times did they kind of had to bring it back after special teams? But then you look at a couple of the scoring opportunities from Green Bay, and they drove the length of the field, for crying out loud. But dang, that defense. I want to talk a little bit more about the offense here. And the potential loss of, well, not potential loss, it is a loss for Jayden Reed going forward. So, all right, we've got some more. I love to see the video streams hopping and rolling with some comments back and forth here. A little bit of YouTube and a little bit of Facebook here. James says, when I was watching the Packers defense last night, I had flashbacks to Seattle's Legion of Boom. Zach says, I could agree with that. Players are flying all over the field and just attacking the ball. I can't remember watching a game and wanting to see the defense on the field more. Brent also saying they really set the tone on that first drive with Wicks and really established the tempo of the game, helped the O-line establish themselves with quick passes to Wicks. I would agree with that too. Offensively, you start with the offensive line, and no Banks, no Zach Tom, which I think we all kind of were preparing for. And Morgan was going to be one of the starters. I figured it was probably going to be a left guard. But would it be Belton? Would it be Kennard? Who was it going to be? Belton got the first crack at it. Then he had a holding penalty. Then Kennard went out there for a little bit. Then Belton came back in and such. So kind of maybe a little bit up and down performance. I'm going to be curious to see how Pro Football Focus ranked Belton's performance at the right tackle spots last night. But, we'll see if that's how long Zach Tom's going to be out and such. But I think all things considered, when you lose two starters on the offensive line, how do you kind of combat that? How do you not allow that to totally affect what you want to do on the offensive side? And I would agree with Brett there. They come out in that first drive, even though it didn't come away with any points, had a shot to, but establishing that with Dontavian Wicks and getting a little bit of a quicker passing game going. It was good to see Wicks get in on the action. Again, that's why I give him one of my game balls. If you're just looking at the stat sheet and you're like, 4 catches for 44 yards. Beginning of the drive or beginning of the game, a couple catches, then he had a big catch later on in the game to extend the drive. I thought it was a solid performance from Wicks. And going forward with Jayden Reed, who's going to be missing some time here, his number is going to be called upon more. He's going to be asked to be a big-time contributor or more of a contributor going forward. So I thought it was a solid night from Wicks. Obviously, Tucker Kraft is a story. And Tucker Kraft's having a career night last night. I mean, I think every Packers fan is probably saying, yes, this is what we have wanted to see from Kraft. Opportunity, having him being a focal part of the offense. I mean, This is what a lot of people have been clamoring for. But how about Luke Musgrave making a couple plays too and a couple catches last night? Even he was getting involved into it. And with no Reed, who is kind of a Swiss Army knife, a guy that you can do multiple different things on in the offense, everybody's going to have to step up. I think, especially like Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden might play that type of role where you're going to see him kind of involved in maybe a little bit of shorter pass game, maybe some jet sweeps and such. Good to see even Savion Williams getting involved in the offense, doing a little wildcat and such. I mean, when he was drafted, that was kind of the expectation. This is a guy, and he's a bigger receiver too, right? But this was a guy that can do multiple things within the offense and kind of, present challenges to defenses. And that drive, that last touchdown drive, it was kind of like Matt LaFleur was opening up the playbook a little bit. Maybe kind of sensing, okay, we got to put this thing away. Opening it up a little bit with some creative play calling. You look at Love, nearly 300 passing yards. But I think it's safe to say, too, it felt like the offense might have left some points out on the field. Like, it just felt like, okay, this game should be more. Even at halftime. Matt LaFleur acknowledged it, saying we should have more points right now. It just felt like they should. It felt like they left a little bit out there. And you just hope, okay, that's the second game. It's the second game on a short week, too, that, okay, you factor in the offensive line. 2 guys are missing. Does that all factor into it a little bit here? You lose Jaden Reed, possibly, but you just hope, okay, that's just going to get better. They're going to be on the same page. They're going to figure it out. They're going to get better. They're going to continue to get better. That's the one downfall that I would say from the offense last night. It was just it felt like there was more, and they didn't quite take advantage of it. But I got to give a ton of credit to LaFleur for that final touchdown drive. I mean, kind of opening it up a little bit, getting Savion Williams involved with that wildcat formation. Matthew Golden running the football too. I mean, that sweet touchdown pass to Kraft, and you had Musgrave with wide open on that little bit of a play action. I mean, there was some sweet stuff dialed up on that drive. You're not going to see it every single drive because you probably don't want to reveal too much and put a ton out there, on tape for teams to scout and prepare for. But you saw some sprinkles, I think, of potentially what these different receivers bring. And it's such a unique receiving group. It's guys that could do different things, right? I mean, you got Matthew Golden, who's the speed guy, running like under a 4.3. Man, it was just a tick off on a couple throws with him. Could have had his first career touchdown. He had the guy beat. I know there's been a little back and forth. Should he have come back for it? Love kind of underthrew it. It's probably a little bit of both. But then the deep throw down the middle just overthrew him a little bit. You have to assume that timing is going to work itself out. You got Wicks, what we saw. We know about Dobbs. You throw in a Kraft and a Musgrave. Then you got this Savion Williams cat. Then, I mean, for crying out loud, can we just give a game ball to Malik Heath for that sweet catch he had on the sideline? Okay, Green Bay was the victim of a sweet catch last week against the Lions and a garbage time touchdown. And then Malik Heath with a sweet catch on the sideline too, and getting those little toe tap feet down. Feels like whenever Malik Heath doesn't get a ton of reps on the offensive side, but whenever he does, I feel like he's got this sweet catch or he's got a big play at some point in time. Whenever he does get a little bit more of an opportunity. But I feel like for all the, if you want to call them shortcomings on the offensive side, or the offense just doesn't feel like it's fully in sync or fully there, I'm confident. I feel like that's going to happen. I feel like it's going to happen. But I don't think there's any question right now what is setting the tone for this team and what has got this team humming and kind of rolling right now and off to a 2-0 start is because of the tone the defense is setting. And I can't remember, again, like the last – I know we keep hammering home the defense, but, I mean, I can't remember another time. Like right now, when that defense is on the field, I'm like, okay, I feel good. I feel confident right now. I'm feeling good about our chances of not allowing a touchdown. It's not going to be that way every single drive, but, I mean, when was the last time we kind of felt that confident? Like, all right, defense going to close it out. We're feeling good. I'm sure there'll be more, when we get later in the season. There's going to be more teams studying, looking at what Jeff Hafley's doing and such, and there's going to be more on tape to try to attack that and such. I'm sure that's going to happen. I mean, everybody across the NFL says, give it like 3-4 weeks until you can kind of see how teams really are. And, we've been down this road before with Green Bay starting off the season undefeated, winning a few games in a row and such, and, maybe kind of flailing out a little bit towards the end of that. Not saying that's going to happen right now. But just, again, it's a reminder of how long this season is. So, Jeremy on our texting line. Don't forget you could hit us up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line as well, 715-830-1912. Jeremy says, I give my game balls to Jordan Morgan and Keyshawn Nixon. Morgan, you never heard his name called, which means he was doing his job, and Nixon really stepped up, and so many pass breakups. Zach says, I really liked what we were doing with Williams on offense. The misdirection that Matt comes up with is just amazing. Really felt like they should have put more points up, and they were held back a little bit. Timing seems to be just a bit off between Love and Golden. Once they connect on that, I think it's going to be scary. So, yeah, the Golden and Love, I definitely think they're going to figure it out. That timing will come. It'll come. Yes, there was a preseason. Yes, there was a training camp and all that stuff. There was all of that. But at the same time, nothing can replicate game speed, and nothing can actually replicate a real game. So once they get some more regular season games under their belt, yeah, I feel good that they're eventually they're going to dial up that connection. It'll be there. And Golden's going to get more opportunities with Jaden Reed expected to miss a few weeks here. A little more than a few weeks, probably like half the season. But we'll talk to our expert, Dr. Crow, about that coming up here in just a little bit. What else? What else stood out to you from the game last night and the victory from last night? I mean, how about the job that they did on Jaden Daniels? More so maybe from his scrambling standpoint. Deebo Samuel started to kind of pick up some plays. He had that kick return, and it's like, oh, no. Started to maybe get a little bit more confidence in that, but Deebo Samuel, 12 targets, 7 catches for just 44 yards. 8 targets, 7 catches for 44 yards. Zach Ertz, 6 catches for 64 on 8 targets, including a touchdown. Overall, though, what else kind of stood out to you from this game? It sure seems like teams are... I shouldn't say teams because we only got 2 teams in there. But, I mean, it sure seems like the approach right now is they're coming in. These defenses, these first 2 examples have been, all right, we're stopping Josh Jacobs. We're going to slow down the run. We're going to continue to make Jordan Love in the passing game try to beat us. Well, Jordan Love, 292, with 2 touchdowns, with a rating of a 113.9. And how about the one play from Jordan Love, picking up that first down on a scramble? He ain't doing that last year because he's banged up. That was a big-time run, lowering the shoulder and picking up that first down too. That was huge. A play like that. And that's a play like that if they show it up in meetings and that, you're going to have offensive linemen and everybody going, ooh, boy. I mean, that was big, though. He extended the drive picking up that thing. You can tell Jordan Love's healthier right now than he was last year. And what a difference it makes in his play. But 2 games in, he's got 480 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. He's got a QBR rating of a 76.7. Both games, both games combined, his quarterback rating is 120. 120 right now. Not too darn bad. Small sample size, I get that. But I think it's fair to say he's off to a good start, too.